Hello everybody, my name is Alex Berner, and I'm the composer for Mojo Filter Media. I'm on a quest to learn, grow, and become a better musician every day, and I hope you join me on that journey. Welcome to Work Summary Sunday. This series has a few goals: to help give a realistic perspective on how much work can get done as a composer each week, to help create some social accountability for my progress, to give myself a platform to show off my work, to create a place for self-reflection, and to help ingrain those takeaways in things I learned from that self-reflection through the process of making a video. I want to create a space where we can talk about our perceptions of accountability. When working on our own projects or anything without a very strict deadline, I find that too often people expect too much of themselves on a day-to-day basis. Other times they expect too little, and are satisfied with a workflow that will never lead to the completion of a project. Or both, which is where I consistently fall. But problems are there to be worked on and fixed, so I'm trying to work towards a middle ground between these two. I'm concerned about people's perceptions about what is expected of us. Social media fills our eyes and ears with a polished version of other people, and we never see those bad weeks where things came up and they didn't hit their goals, or if they did hit them, they were below the quality they were aiming for. In this series, I'm going to analyze and improve my methods of working and identifying blockers, and also learning to realize when the goals I'm working towards are actually not ideal. So let's get started. Today is Sunday, July 12th, 2020. What were my goals? For my first project, I wanted to finish up 4 different orchestrations for pieces I had already written, mixing each as well as sequencing one more track. For my second project, let's call it Project 2, my goal was to upload my second video to my YouTube channel. Did I achieve them? Project 1, I was 2 out of 5. I finished up 2 orchestrations and not another 3. And Project 2, as of uploading this video, yes, but late, by about 2 hours. I want to have a discussion about why I didn't hit my goals this week. Last week I got too caught up in editing MIDI data and spent too long on the minutia, things that I could fix and improve and work on. But this week, life events took priority. And I rewrote that last sentence, as originally I had written, but life events got in the way. And the original way I had written it implied a certain adversarial nature to these events, that they were things that had prevented me from hitting my goals. And saying it that way seems like an abdication of my responsibility, that forces outside my control stopped me from getting my work done, poor me, when in fact I chose to respond to what I felt like was a higher level of responsibility. It's on me, not the world, that I couldn't get my work done. And what I could do for the well-being of others in a crisis situation superseded a somewhat arbitrary work deadline. This is the main point I want to make this week. I think it's important to be mindful about how we perceive our experiences and how we talk about them. The language we use, both in our minds and when communicating with others, can influence our emotions about specific events. Let's keep to this example with the phrasing, life events got in the way. This phrasing contributes to the perception of being victimized by events in the world. Over weeks, months, and years of using that kind of phrasing and thought patterns, that simple idea of things getting in my way can evolve into frustration and anger towards other people in the world, an implicit blame that they're the reason I'm not getting stuff done. That's why I'm not successful. When in reality, I had the option to dismiss those life events that kept popping up. So instead of blindly following the path to resentment, I think it's important to really assess your values. What does success mean to you? What does it mean to be a good person? How do those two values interact? To me, these are such important questions, and we rarely think about them, write about them, or talk about them. Through discovering things about myself, I've learned that it's integral to my nature to value helping the suffering of others. And this helps to bring clarity when values seem to be at odds. If I miss one day of work to help someone out of a very difficult situation, I believe that was worth it. Others might not. So I encourage you to think about these things for yourself. Ask yourself those questions. What does success mean to you? What does it look like? What is your commitment to your own well-being? How about the well-being of your friends, your family, your teachers, any random person, humanity as a whole? How about all other life that can experience any pain or suffering? What does it look like when your commitments to others' well-being, or your own, seems to come in conflict with your idea of success. Where is the balance in your life? And what does that tell you about yourself? I think we all need to take a step back every once in a while and consider our perspectives. I, for one, don't want to be the person that valued success at all costs, only to look back and find that I had left a wake of dismissed or hurt people behind me. Asking yourself questions and trying to be more mindful about your values and how they line up with your actions can help to prevent this. And prevention is always easier than fixing things after the damage has been done. Okay, now let's get back to some tangible blockers. For Project 1, I also had to repurpose a day of work towards cleaning up file naming conventions, organizing my files, and making sure that we're backed up securely. I learned how to better use cloud storage, and I also went back through and archived some old project versions so I don't get confused in the future about which versions are current and which are old. This took longer than I expected, but in the end, it was better to do it now than later, and the clutter was growing and internal storage was shrinking by the day. So I averted a potential project-destroying crisis. Again, prevention over fixing. For Project 2, like last week, I made it a simple goal that required a minimal amount of time, something I could achieve if I even only had an hour. Copy and paste the outline, fill out the details for this week. If time had been extra short, I could have just streamed it to YouTube. There are some things that don't lose as much value when the production quality is compromised. Not that there's much production quality in the series to be lost anyway. So what have I learned about my goals going into next week? Make each moment count. If I'm working, don't be distracted. Make the most of it. Focus. Get the work done. And if a higher commitment comes up, do the same. Focus. Do what needs to be done. Fulfill my commitment to myself and others. Don't complain. Accept responsibility. Wow, I finally used one of those silver rules they taught us in morning program back in elementary school. I guess I did learn something. On to the music. What did I struggle with? I struggled with finding a place for the middle level of battle music. I'm dividing everything into 3 levels, the top being big, epic, the lowest one being more subdued, more grooving, but level 2, I guess, ended up somewhere in between, a standard battle track. And I think as I continue to orchestrate more of these, I'll start to find more of a place for them, more of a niche. What did I learn? Be clear about file naming conventions from the beginning. Do not keep multiple copies of files which are not synced up. This wastes time organizing them later. How will I incorporate what I learned this week into my future music? I'm going to try to continue to ask myself these questions, and by doing that, allow myself to live with a little less conflict, a little less resentment, and a little less imbalance. And now on to show and tell. I'm going to show you the lowest level of orchestration of the piece that I showed last time, Dragon Battle Part 1. This one doesn't start off as loud as last week, so enjoy. Cool. So, what do I like about it and what don't I? I like how I changed the groove about 1/3 of the way in from alternating measures of 7/8 and 9/8 to a classic 4/4 groove in the percussion. I like how I used that groove to keep the motion going and the energy while keeping the dynamics overall very low. Well, very low for what I've been writing. The one thing I'm concerned about is that 4/4 groove is very similar to one I have in another track, and I'm hoping it doesn't become monotonous or ineffective when coupled with that one. A couple of the anvil hits also stick out a little too much in the mix as I noticed, so I gotta go back and fix those. What do you all think? Was anything here useful? Anything here a good reminder? Next week, I'm going to try to catch up on what I wanted to finish last week. I'm not going to add too much to it, but I'm going to try to put out 2 videos. I'm going to release my first track breakdown on a theme song I did for the Breakfast in Beauclair podcast. So I'm excited. I have the outline all finished up, and I'd like to make that tomorrow and put it out on Monday. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this series, please subscribe and like the video, and if you didn't, give it a dislike and comment some way you think it could be improved in the comments below. Thanks again for watching.